PAFW family and friends, happy Friday. It is our behind the scenes Friday. I'm on the deck of the bridge center of the Star Trek Enterprise. Monday I said, our Monday class, I said, our upcoming Monday class, we have scheduled to visit Mary Chico, who played Lavelle in the Star Trek Discovery series. So we're gonna go behind the scenes on Star Trek, which has had a nearly 57-year history. But before we do that, we're gonna move it and groove it to this song, which was popular the same month and year that Star Trek premiered. The original Star Trek premiered. I need love, love to ease my mind. I need to find someone for mine. But Mama said you can't hurry love. You just have to wait. She said love don't come easy. It's a game of give and take. Can't hurry love. No, you just have to wait. You gotta trust, give it time. No matter how long it takes, but how many heartaches must I stand before I find the love to let me live again? Right now, the only thing that keeps me hanging on when I feel my strength, yeah, it's almost gone. I remember Mama said, love, you just have to wait. She said, love don't come easy. It's a game of give and take. How long must I wait? How much more can I take before loneliness will cause my heart to break? Oh, I can't bear to live my life alone. I grow impatient for love to call my own. But when I feel that I can't go on, these precious words keeps me hanging on. I remember Mama said, love, you just have to wait. She said, love don't come easy. It's a game of give and take. Right, Daddy. All right, guys, good. That was fun. So you can't let me know that was a hit in 1966, the same year that Star Trek launched a 57-year cultural history in the world of the entertainment industry. Star Trek, the very first episode, premiered in 1966 on NBC. And it launched, like I said, with Incredible Legacy on Monday. We are scheduled to have Mary Chico, who played Laurel in the Star Trek Discovery series. From that series that started in 1966, there have been over 7 series, animation, 13 films, an incredible legacy. So what we're going to do today is go behind the scenes and see footage from the beginning of the original Star Trek, which stars Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, and then go do behind the scenes from the 2013 film, Into the Darkness, which starred actors like Chris Pine, Joe Dardano, Zachary Quinto. We're gonna look at those, and what I want you to really look at for these guys is the differences in one film or TV show that came out in 1966 and nearly 50 years later, 47 years later, this film, and look at what you observe about how much the industry and what filming was like and how they shot those early shows in 1966 compared to what they were able to do in 2013. So I hope you enjoy these.
And you're asking question that first. But let's take a look at these, and I'll see you on the other side.
Space, the final frontier. Those words, first spoken on television on the 8th of September 1966, gave the world Star Trek's vision of the future, one of hope and a fundamental philosophy of nobility and honour. 57 years later, and those core values still ring true, as the series continues to thrill and excite audiences, old and new. It was a triumph for televised science fiction which proved that intelligent, thought-provoking, character-driven morality plays can transport us all to the final frontier. In 1963, Gene Roddenberry, a former police officer and pilot, had proven his writing abilities on such television series as Dr. Kildare, Highway Patrol, and Have Gun Will Travel. He also wrote his own original pilots, though none of them went to series. His first producing assignment was The Lieutenant in 1963, and although it only lasted 29 episodes, it created a working relationship with many people who would eventually work on Star Trek, including Leonard Nimoy, Nichelle Nichols, Walter Koenig, and directors Mark Daniels and Robert Butler. It was during the production of this show that he developed the initial concept of what would eventually become Star Trek. His secretary at the time was Dorothy Fontana, who would eventually play a very important role in the Star Trek mythos. She recalls Roddenberry asking her to read a very early proposal. The captain at the time was Robert April, who would become Christopher Pike, and the ship was the Yorktown. Mr. Spock was pretty much like the way he was portrayed in The Cage, and the Doctor was Dr. Boyce. Roddenberry's original series presentation, dated 11th of March 1964, described Star Trek as a 1-hour dramatic television series, action-adventure science fiction, the first such concept with strong central lead characters plus other continuing regulars, and while maintaining a familiar central location and regular cast, explores an anthology-like range of exciting human experiences. He went on to describe the show's premise as one similar to the then enormously popular Wagon Train, with regular characters travelling to distant worlds which bore some similarities to our own. Their method of travel was the cruiser named the USS Yorktown. Years later, Roddenberry would tell of the frustration of trying to sell the premise to studios. For a while, MGM expressed an interest, but it fell through. Finally, he found someone that would listen, Oscar Katz of Desilu, the studio founded by Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. Katz, a former CBS executive, was brought over as vice president at Desilu in charge of production. In the sales pitch for the pilot to NBC, the executives were told that there were 4 kinds of stories that would represent the Star Trek concept. A female crew member who joined the fleet to escape an emotional relationship problem, an Earth mining colony where the colonists have illegally taken control of the mine and the ship has to investigate. The Yorktown travels to an Earth-like planet of the Al Capone era on the verge of civil war, and the ship travels to a planet where the atmospheric conditions are different to Earth, the inhabitants are different, everything is different. They went with the 4th one. That's how the first pilot, The Cage, came to be. The Cage was expanded into a teleplay, simultaneously renaming Captain Robert April Christopher Pike and the Yorktown the Enterprise. Jeffrey Hunter, who had played Christ in King of Kings and co-starred with John Wayne in The Searchers, was cast as Pike. Another actor seriously considered for the role was Lloyd Bridges, who told Roddenberry, "Gene, I like you, but I've seen science fiction, and I don't want to be within 100 miles of it." Majel Barrett, who would go on to marry Roddenberry and portray Nurse Chapel in the ensuing series, and Lwaxana Troy in The Next Generation, was cast as number 1, with John Hoyt as Dr. Boyce. After considering Martin Landau for the role of Spock, Roddenberry decided to go with Leonard Nimoy. The first pilot for Star Trek was filmed at Desilu Studios in Hollywood in 1965. It was directed by Robert Butler, who went on to become the king of the pilots, helming first episodes for Batman, Moonlighting, Remington Steele, Hill Street Blues, and many more. It was the most expensive TV pilot ever produced up to that time. Although it had some great visuals and wonderful ideas, NBC decided it was too cerebral and it wouldn't sell. Katz explained, "I asked NBC, why are you turning it down? We can't sell it from this show, they said. But I gave you 4 choices and you picked this one. And because of that, they said, we're going to give you an order for a second pilot." Although greenlighting a second pilot, NBC made several suggestions, including the removal of the Spock character, because, according to them, they thought Spock's ears would be too scary. Roddenberry argued that the show had to have Spock, as he would be a constant reminder that they were in space and that the show was set in the future. NBC agreed, but asked he be kept in the background. As well as wanting the guy with the ears removed, NBC also insisted that the role of number 1 be eliminated altogether. Roddenberry did fight this, but was forced to compromise as he felt the format badly needed an alien character. Nimoy's character was then written as being second in command with additional computer mind qualities, and there Vulcan logic was born. While working on the first drafts of the new script, Roddenberry learned that Jeffrey Hunter was not interested in returning to the role of Pike. He did not like the cage and was convinced by family members that science fiction was beneath him. Taking over the captain's chair was Canadian-born actor William Shatner. Shatner was classically trained, he had enormous technical abilities to do different things, and he gave the captain a terrific personality. He embodied what Roddenberry had in mind, which was the flawed hero, or the hero who considers himself flawed, Captain Horatio Hornblower. While Shatner was hired, 3 scripts for the second pilot were finished. Roddenberry's The Omega Glory, dealing with a crisis on a Federation colony. Stephen Kandal wrote Mud's Women. The idea there was to have a human villain, so audiences would identify with him better. And Samuel Peoples wrote Where No Man Has Gone Before, chronicling the metamorphosis of crewman Gary Mitchell into a godlike being. Where No Man Has Gone Before went into production soon after. Joining Shatner and Nimoy was Paul Fix as Dr. Mark Piper, George Takei as physicist Sulu, James Doohan as Chief Engineer Montgomery Scott, who Doohan named after his grandfather, Lloyd Haynes as Communication Officer Alden, and Andrea Drom as Yeoman Smith. NBC viewed the pilot in early 1966 and gave Roddenberry the green light for a series, much to the delight of everyone. The public's first view of Star Trek was at the Cleveland, Ohio Tricon in September 1966. The episode was very enthusiastically received. Roddenberry recalled that just as the episode was about to start, he had to turn to people close by and ask them to keep quiet as they were talking loudly. Isaac Asimov turned to him and said, "Yes, you're right, we'll tone it down." That was the beginning of a lifelong friendship between the two of them. As the scripts were being written and the series tuned, Roddenberry turned his attention to casting. Shatner, Nimoy, Doohan and Takei, now promoted to helmsman, remained, while Paul Fix as the Doctor and Lloyd Haynes as the Communication Officer were out. Added were DeForest Kelly as Dr. McCoy and Nichelle Nichols as Lieutenant Uhura, representing one of the first times that a black actress was a network series regular. With the cast in place, Roddenberry wanted the show to be one of television's first intelligent science fiction series, with realistic characters and technology based on the trend of what was available at the time. Star Trek premiered on the 8th of September 1966, and although it quickly proved to be different and worthwhile, unfortunately neither the critical reaction or the ratings were positive. Audiences were treated to shows completely unlike anything they had seen before. Episodes like The Man Trap, Charlie X, The Enemy Within, and The Balance of Terror, which is still one of the finest hours of Star Trek ever produced. The Menagerie was a 2-part episode that brilliantly incorporated the then unseen original pilot, The Cage. Gene L. Coon is considered to be one of Star Trek's strengths, who shaped a lot of the individual shows, having had a natural feel for the kind of story that was appropriate for the series. He came on board during the second half of the first season, and among his writing credits were the episodes Space Seed, which introduced Khan Noonien Singh, and Errand of Mercy, which introduced the Klingons. He also came up with ideas like the Prime Directive. His contribution to the series defined Star Trek for future generations. In my opinion, said William Shatner, Gene Coon had more to do with the infusion of life into Star Trek than any other single person. Harve Bennett, who had steered the Star Trek films for over 10 years, referred to Coon as an inspiration. Writer-producer Glenn A. Larson, whose credits included Knight Rider and Battlestar Galactica, said of Coon, "I think Gene Coon was the spirit and soul of the show. I don't think the show would have gone in the direction that it did, nor have its enormous credibility if not for him." Once on the air, Star Trek was not getting the ratings, and NBC began indicating that the series might be cancelled by the midpoint of the first season. As the word of this got out, author Harlan Ellison spearheaded a letter-writing campaign to save the show. The effort was a success, proving that there was indeed an audience tuning in each week. The series not only lasted the full season, but was renewed for a second. Star Trek had survived a rejected first pilot, network opposition, and near cancellation. This, however, only represented the beginning of the fight for survival that would continue for the next 2 years. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, Hailing Frequencies closed. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell too. Thank you.
Is that camera on?
Set and action.
Captain, did the indigenous life forms see you?
No wasn't spotted, not.
The Prime Directive clearly states that there can be no interference with the internal development of alien civilizations.
I said a 5-minute tracking. 30 seconds.
It's very brief.
Oh, I just don't. It's like going. It's like that in your
Really good day. Thank you, buddy.
Scotty, it's Kirk.
James Tiberius Kirk. Saving the galaxy and ignorer of all rational thoughts. Calling me. Do I know the pleasure?
Where are you? Are you drunk? I don't know what you're looking for, but I have a feeling you'll know it when you see it. And Ken? Like, that's good, Dan. Action. Mr. Chekhov, you've been shadowing Mr. Scott. You are familiar with the engineering systems of the ship. Cut. That was awesome. That was great. How'd it feel? Really good. That was great. Oh, yeah? That was awesome. You good? You should come upstairs. Here we go. Great energy and action. Mr. Sulu. Set. And 3, 2, 1, boom! Start doing your controls there. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1, boom!
Captain, I believe you have made the right decision.
Did I?
Yeah, exactly. Right, thank you. Set. And action. Mr. Sulu, retract all marks.
All systems nominal, Captain. Warp available on your command.
And then. Go.
Doctor, where are you going?
Watch out. And cut.
Gonna go right in front of the stage.
You're like,
Right in here, we must right here. And action. Back. And cut. Very nice. Good. Action.
Captain on the bridge.
Lieutenant, do we have an open channel with Mr. Spock?
The heat's frying his comms, but we still have contact.
Spock, report.
I'd like to make the device, Captain. When the countdown is complete, the reaction should render the volcano inert.
Yeah, and that's gonna render him inert.
We use our transporters.
Not with these magnetic.
We have to beam Spock back to this ship. You give me one way we can do it.
Maybe if we establish direct contact, if we got closer, right?
I mean, man, we're talking about an active volcano, sir. If that thing erupts, I can't guarantee the ship will withstand the heat.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna be able to maintain altitude.
Unacceptable, Mr. Chekhov. Our shuttle is concealed by the ash cloud. The Enterprise is too large. We're seen by the indigenous species.
Shut up, Spock. We're trying to save you.
Spock, nobody knows rules better than you. There must be an exception.
None, Captain. Such action violates the Prime Directive.
Spock, we're talking about your life.
The rule can be broken under any circumstance.
Spock! Damn it. Try to get him back online.
90 seconds to detonation, sir.
Sorry. Any sign of them?
No, which worries me.
We lost them.
Or they're jamming our scanners.
Or we lost them.
Enterprise to Spock. Spock! Damn it. McCoy to bridge.
Good, ready, watch out, quick set. Good height, guys, good height, and one tighter. Height into. Alright, one more time. Good job. Here we go, boys.
And you seem to wait a hair until you turn to say. Do another cross in the other direction. That could be a good place for you to motion it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Action! Hips.
Yours like a jaguar.
Links is
2, 1, go!
Hey, would you just tell Phil you're driving chopping in?
As you're doing this stuff. Right. You know, they come down to your face. But one thing
Alright guys, I love sharing filmmaking with you. It's part of our industry just to learn what incredible collaborative efforts filmmaking is. Alright? So, what I want you to begin here, what was your favorite part of watching the two videos? What did you learn? What was your favorite part? Share that in the chat or leave a message or on my voicemail 323-364-2478 or email me at deejfast@gmail.com. Now, as I said, Mary Chico will be here Monday. I've already talked to you about questions, so if you haven't gotten your questions in, please email those to me for I can just take a look at them. And Mary, like I said, she's a good friend of mine. I think you're gonna just adore her like I do. So, Earthshake has had many reimaginings and new productions, the reimagining, the revisiting, Star Trek Into the Darkness, reimagined the cast, new actors from the original cast. In fact, most of the actors in Into the Darkness weren't even born when the original Star Trek came out, and they were playing new versions of Trek and Spock and Scotty. So what we're gonna do, and they do that in music too. There'll be a hit song, and then it will be reimagined. And the Phil Collins reimagined You Can't Hardly Very Love. So that's how we're gonna end it today, with the reimagining or reproducing of You Can't Hurry Love. Alright? Hey guys, have a great weekend and be really good. My name is Steve Alley. Spin me up.